one that has always stuck in my mind. In all your ways, acknowledge him.
And he shall direct that path.
You know?
Derek, Daniel, sorry. Keep calling it Derek because Derek was my close friend, your brother. Listen, we can't talk about your childhood unless we talk about your dad. Unless we talk about your dad. Can you tell us a bit about the influence your dad had on you? Your mom was a bit very quiet, but your dad was that one who was always out there. Talk a little bit about your dad, Derek. Daniel.
He is a role model of mine. During my life, and I still do, there's nothing that I do that I don't seek his blessing or ask his opinion on any matter. Because this man was a giant of a man.
Yep.
He practiced what he preached. He was a strict disciplinarian.
Yep.
When we had holidays, and we would be on the street, kids playing.
Yeah.
We always have our ears attuned to the sound of his car.
What was it? Was that Cortina or something?
A Cortina.
Right, I remember the car.
Once you heard that car coming, you move towards getting inside your yard.
Yep.
Because you can't be on the street.
You can't be on the street.
You can't be outside without shoes. You can't wear a torn garment of any sort.
Any sort. Mm-hmm.
Right? So he was a strict disciplinarian. Timings, there are many times when I've seen him, he left my mother because she was late. So when you're going to church and he says, okay, we're leaving at 8:45 or whatever the time is, you had better be there.
You better be there.
But he also was a man who would sacrifice for the welfare and well-being of his family. The man was a provider. He was the priest of his household. But let me tell you something. Every Saturday and Sunday morning, we had family prayer.
From prayer, okay.
And when they wake you up, sometimes you fall asleep and your brother have to elbow you to say it's your time to pray. Every one of us had to pray.
To pray. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But your dad was also one of the funniest human beings I ever met. That man could keep you laughing for hours.
Yeah, he likes to be the life of the party.
Wait, let me ask something about him. He was one of the top contractors around the place. Where did he learn his craft?
Like any tradesman, he learned, and he seemed to have developed a knack for it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so he, with his sort of principle and work ethics, he quickly rose in his reputation. Right. And he has built quite a number of structures in and around St. Mary. Mm-hmm. I think he was the one who built Continuation High School, a wing of it. That's one thing I can remember. There are several buildings and houses that he would have built.
That he erected.
The Gurdon's house in Bailey'sville, the Gurdon's house in Trinity, a couple of houses next door to where Miss Bays, he built that as well.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And several other houses he would have built.
Yeah, a lot. So Daniel, schooling. Let's hear about your early schooling. Where did you go to primary school?
No man, you can't talk about primary school only.
Infant school.
In Bailey'sville,
yes.
There is a school that is at the end of Gray
Street. Yeah.
They have now renamed it and given it a nice name, Joyce Eccleston Basic School. Well, when I was going there, it was Miss Connie School.
Oh.
Right. So Miss Connie was my teacher, and she gave me the foundation for my education. I left from there and I went to Port Mary Primary School.
Mm-hmm. Name me some of your best teachers at Port Mary Primary now.
Well, man, Miss Dwyer.
Buckley.
Miss Daisy Morgan.
Oh gosh.
Um,
The immortal.
Daisy Morgan.
Morgan,
She's
yep.
100 plus.
Yep.
Now, still going.
Still
I
going
go down
strong.
to visit her, and
Yeah.
she's doing her crossroad puzzles.
Oh wow.
No glasses, I
No.
can tell you that.
Wow.
So yes, those persons. But Mr. Thompson,
Mm-hmm.
Nicholson,
Okay.
principal,
Right. Mm-hmm.
right? So that's where we went. That's my formative years, and then I did common entrance and went to St. Mary High School.
St. Mary High.
Black School, St. Mary High School. It's not just a school; it's an institution.
Yep.
It's a colossal in the parish of St. Mary. It has graduated some stalwarts in society.
Yeah, we're coming on. Wait, hold on. Don't rush it yet. We're coming on to that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, I'm here speaking with Colonel Daniel Pryce of the Jamaica Defense Force. He's also a St. Mary High alum. So, ladies and gentlemen, tuning in on Facebook and on YouTube, welcome to Roc da Mic, and we welcome Colonel Pryce. Yes, Daniel, at St. Mary High, what did you excel in? Besides the cadet, let's hear about what your schooling was like.
I can't say I excelled in anything because I can't say I was a bright boy. I think I was very bright when I was in primary school, but once I got to St. Mary High School, it became a little bit more competitive. So I can't say that I was a bright boy. I was an average student.
Who was your principal? Who was your principal?
I have been through Mr. Cargill, Mr. Hamilton, and Mr.
Johnson, right?
No, Brigadier Johnson.
Brigadier Johnson. Okay.
All of those principals have had their influence on me. But the one that I believe that has had the greatest influence is Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson.
Brigadier Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. Hold on. What brought you into the cadet? Why would a young man give up all his playtime, give up sports to go join something where you're out there marching day after day in this boiling sun? What attracted you to the cadet?
That's a good question, I like the discipline. I like to endure hardship. And so when I saw the cadets, I decided that I'm not going to no Boy Scout. I'm going to the cadets. So, we had what they call permanent staff instructors from the 3rd Battalion, the Jamaica Regiment National Reserve, who would partner with the schools. And they came up.
Okay.
And they were the ones who would bring the cadets up to speed in terms of the drilling and the field craft, the map reading, and all of that.
Oh, okay.
And there were a couple of guys there that stood out. Drum Major Alexander, Mr. Hibbert.
Okay.
Another one, I can't remember his name now. But these guys were role models to you. And, you're out there, you're doing the things that the average student wouldn't do. So those are the things that attracted me.
Because let me tell you, I spent 2 weeks in the cadet and I said, no. I spent 2 weeks and I decided, no, I'm going to quit this thing, man. But you seem to have done quite well in the cadets. You seem to have done quite well. Before we go any further, I have never understood the ranks. What's the most basic rank in the cadet?
Well, private.
Private. From private, you move up to what?
That's the lowest rank.
The lowest rank.
Then you have the Lance Corporal.
Lance Corporal.
Stripe.
Mm-hmm.
The Corporal, that is 2 stripes.
Okay.
The Sergeant with 3 stripes.
Okay.
Then you have a color sergeant or a staff sergeant, which is 3 stripes and a small metal crown.
Okay.
The distinction with staff sergeant, the staff sergeant is a specialist, whilst the color sergeant is the one who looks after the administration,
Administrative. Oh,
the
okay.
provisioning for that particular group.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, you have a warrant officer class 2, shortened WO2.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a warrant officer class 1. The warrant officer class 2 and class 1, they're shortened and called sergeant major.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right. But the W1 is normally the regimental sergeant major.
Regimental. Okay.
That would be the highest rank in the category that we call the other ranks.
Okay. I've never understood it.
So in the cadets and in the military, you have 2 broad categories. You have the other ranks, as we call it, and then you have the commissioned officers. So the W1, the warrant officer class 1,
Mm-hmm.
is the highest rank among the other ranks.
The other rank. Okay.
After that, now you'd have the officers or the commissioned officers.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
At the basic, you'd have a second lieutenant.
Stop. Yeah. Every time I talk to my American friends, this word causes a big problem. Because, here they pronounce it lieutenant.
I was just about to say that.
I never since I was a kid, I wonder, where the heck do they get the F from? But then it's the Queen's English. So.
No, it's the British. Mm-hmm. It's the British that pronounces it lieutenant.
Lieutenant, right. Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't understand it. I still can't understand why PHIAL is vile.
Yeah, that's one of the peculiarities, man. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you'll have the second lieutenant,
Mm-hmm.
lieutenant. The second lieutenant is 1 pip,
Mm-hmm.
little diamond looking insignia.
Uh-huh.
2 of those, you become a lieutenant. 3 of those, you become a captain.
Okay.
Okay? The second lieutenant and lieutenant are referred to as subalterns. And sometimes they may even regard captain as subaltern. But generally speaking, it would be the second lieutenant and the lieutenant.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
After the captain, you have a major who wears a crown on his shoulder. And then you have the lieutenant colonel, the colonel.
Mm-hmm.
And for up to about 3 years ago, within the Jamaican context, you'd leave from a colonel to go to a major general.
A major general, okay.
Now, because of the restructuring of the military, you have a brigadier in between. Now, a brigadier would wear a crown and 3 pips, whilst the major general would wear a cross-sworded sword on the scabbard.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Since the restructuring, we've had a lieutenant general, and that only came about 3 years ago.
3 years ago, okay.
And that is the highest rank that we'd have in the JDF.
In the JDF. All right. At what time at St. Mary High did you decide to go from cadet? You wanted to make the military a part of your life. At what time of school did you decide on that?
Well, let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I tell you that Mr. Johnson would have been the principal with the greatest influence on my life.
Uh-huh.
At the end of, as soon as I got my results,
mm-hmm.
he called me and he congratulated me.
A man from Canada tell me he was there too.
Yeah. And he said, so what are you going to do now? I said, well, I contemplated going to It was then cast.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, what about the military? I said, that's it, the military. And right there and then, Garfield took up the phone and he called the headquarters.
What?
He called an ex-St. Mary High School student.
Wow.
Dave Anderson.
Oh, Brocky.
And having called Dave set up an appointment for me to come in and be interviewed. Went in and interviewed, and was interviewed. And I was interviewed by a very interesting man who today has remained a mentor of mine, a guy called Major Neil Lewis.
Neil, okay.
Tall, bright, articulate man, who was a great officer. And he was also a Christian, so there was a connection.
There's a connection right there with you guys.
Right, and I asked him at that point whether or not he think you could join the army and remain.
I remain a Christian. Okay, that was important to you.
That was important to me. And I tell you something, at that particular point, if he had said no, I would not have.
Oh, wow. Wow. So everything hinged on that, just that one answer.
Oh, yes. Garfield, when I went to do the selection board, it was all ordained by God.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to do the interview, the final interview, I did not know that I would be going off to Newcastle for 3 days to do what is called a selection board.
Oh, okay.
So you go up there in Newcastle for 3 days, and you go through a battery of tests and evaluation.
Okay. It's not physical, it's just academic, mental?
Physical,
okay.
Academic, and mental.
Okay.
So I went there. In fact, after I did the initial interview, I came back to St. Mary. I didn't know that they had given out some instructions as to what to take.
Oh my God.
Come back. I just knew that I should come back on a particular day.
I can see this coming now.
When I turned up empty-handed, no clothes, nothing. But for that time, for us to get to Kingston, to get there for 8 o'clock, you'd have to get up from 4 or 3:30.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I got up at 3:30, having made arrangement with Dougal.
Yep.
But Dougal was the first man out from Port Maria. And Dougal came, and I had to sit there and wait for Dougal to get a reasonable amount of persons.
The people in the bus, yep. Mm-hmm.
So, eventually he left. And then this was where my first challenge was. I don't know Kingston.
Oh my God.
I was just told that you will know that you're in Crossroad once you see that train box on the theater.
Oh my God.
When I got in the bus, I asked the guys, can tell me when I reach
Crossroads.
Mm-hmm. So I got to Harvard, I got a little antsy. I've, later realized that I was at Harvard and not Crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy said, no, you don't reach Crossroads yet. When they ejected me from the bus in Crossroads, that is where the hotter claps.
Hotter claps. Oh my God, this is funny.
I navigated my way. I swallowed my pride and asked a couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I got to the headquarters, they had started the process. There are two ladies whom I will never forget. Miss Dempster, three, Miss Dempster, Miss Denny, and Miss Brown. Because they were the civilians that worked the whole selection board. And they called me and they said, Mr. Pryce, how come you just come in? They remembered my name. And I said, the other people are gone.
What do you mean gone?
As they said that, here comes Major Lewis walking down. Major Lewis said, Mr. Pryce, are you just coming? I said, yes, sir. I explained to him the bus situation. He said, Miss Dempster, Miss Brown, ensure that Mr. Pryce catches up with the other guys and goes through the process. 18 of us were there that day.
Wow.
18 of us did that selection board. I was the only person who passed that selection board clear cut. There was one guy.
Wow, that's good.
They had some little doubts about. That guy is my best friend.
Jeez.
Didn't know him until that selection.
Until that day.
So of the 18 persons who went, only 2 persons passed the selection.
Credit to you, St. Mary High and Portmore Primary, man.
Gary, it was hell here on earth.
So wait, what did your family think?
Huh?
What did your family think about your decision?
No, man, they're right behind me, man.
They were okay, good, okay.
They're right behind me. And the rest is history. Went up to Newcastle. My mother, during recruit training, my mother was having some serious withdrawal symptoms.
her baby's gone.
The first time in my life that I was leaving my home for an extended period of time. And they had to take her up there to see me. Yes, man. When she come up, man, the rice and peas and the pudding and the drops, almond drops and the drops.
Everything come for you,
Juice and whatever. Let me tell you, man. I had so many friends in the intake after that.
After that? St. Mary food come, eh? Yeah. So Daniel, from your basic training, I hear that as a young JDF guy, you had to go to Grenada. Can you tell us about that? What was that all about?
All right. Having finished Newcastle, I went off to the UK.
UK, okay.
I did about just under a year in training there. I did 2 courses, the basic officer training and the regular careers course. The latter course was more academic. And then I came back to Jamaica. When I came back to Jamaica, like the diligent young officer, having gotten some leave, like about 2 weeks leave, I went into camp to make my preparation, to find my room, set up my account and all that. I am in the the bank, and the phone rang, and I said, "Who is Second Lieutenant Pryce?" I said, "I am the person." He said, "The call is for you. Captain Horace Burrell. Captain Horace Burrell.
Yep.
Summoned me to headquarters, and this is what he said to me. Young man, your leave is hereby cancelled.
Wow.
You are to report to Money training camp by 1500 hours. And you will be off to Grenada before the week is out." So I came back. I think I spent 3.5 days after I came back from the UK. And I was off to Grenada within the week. I could not tell my mother. I told my father. I could not.
Wait, that was during the Grenada invasion, right? Okay.
You know what my mother found out? we used to be granted 5 minutes. 5 minutes call. You call your
Oh, okay.
relatives. And I called and she answered the phone. And she asked me where I was. You know, I couldn't tell her.
You couldn't lie, right?
And that is how that went.
Oh,
It was a
God.
fascinating experience
Mm-hmm.
in Grenada because I really didn't get there when the bullets were flying, but there were still little remnants, and I've had some near death experience because I remember going off on a long range patrol with some troops, and we happened upon some American soldiers who nobody knew that they were there. And Garfield, it was weapons drawn at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Our uniform at the time looked like that of the Grenadians People's Revolution Army.
Oh, okay.
uniform. In fact, even one of the staple belts was of the same color of the 1st Battalion, the battalion that I was in. And as the leader of that group, I had to negotiate and
Wow.
talk the
De-escalate the whole thing.
force and de-escalate it.
Okay.
You know, and you were dealing with, when we went up there, you know, it was just after the coup.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had some highly trained officers who were locked up. And so you had the military type prisoners and the political prisoners. These guys were highly trained and they were skilled in psychology operations.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And we have had some near experiences with them when they use their chants from time to time to throw you off balance. I remember a particular situation where we got there just when they're coming out of the cell
Uh-huh.
for the 1 hour. Normally you put them out, you know, in small amounts at a time.
Mm-hmm.
This particular time they let them out. And they engaged one of our officers in a conversation. And they were chanting and increasing the chant. And was advancing on the officer. The officer had his weapon. And I'm there watching. And I saw what was happening. And I just stepped off, pretended as if I was making a call on the radio,
Uh-huh.
and yelled out to the officer and said, "Look, you're needed at the front," and extricated him from the situation. They were advancing on him, and they would have just swallowed him up.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's interesting, man. Mm-hmm.
Move, just move him out. I remember the guys, they're a dangerous man. And then they realized that, you know, who they were dealing with. And I realized who I was dealing with. So that one was diffused.
Mm-hmm.
So Grenada was really a good experience. It tested your leadership
Mm-hmm.
out there, and you're coming straight out of the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst. And so that was a good foundation for my military career and starting like that.
Let me ask you something, Daniel. You went to training in England, right? Sandhurst.
Yes.
Are there any plans afoot for us to do our own training of officers in Jamaica?
In fact, that's a very timely question. That is being contemplated as you speak. In a matter of weeks, we should be starting to do that.
Oh, son, okay. Okay. No. one of the high points of your career, one of the high points of your military career is you were appointed equerry to the Queen. Could you tell us about that? What year was that?
Her Majesty came here, I think, 2003.
2003. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's round about the time that I was chosen to do it.
What rank were you at the time?
I was a major.
Major.
At the
Okay.
time.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because my life has been ordered throughout from day one. I think there's purpose in my life, I believe.
Uh-huh.
So I got a prophecy from a church brother, and he told me that, look, you're going to be chosen for an important assignment. He told me the date
Wow.
that this will happen. And I remember when the chief of staff then called me and told me that I was chosen to be equerry to Her Majesty. I told him that I knew. and he said to me, you know, you were not my choice.
Wow.
But my choice, person I had chosen, really just messed up. And so it has fallen to you. I said, it was not fallen.
Not falling to you.
For me to do.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you something. It is perhaps one of the highest point, one of the highest point of my military career.
Mm-hmm.
And I just synopsize. I mean, I had to go to Buckingham Palace. I lived in Buckingham Palace for 12 days prior to coming down, to learn the protocols and all of that.
Any fish and chips?
Sorry?
Any fish and chips in Buckingham Palace?
Look here, how do you know that? Somebody tell you my story, man.
No.
Tell you what happened. We lived in Buckingham Palace. There are two of us. There's a female officer from New Zealand. She was there at the time, and we both came there to learn.
Uh-huh.
Now, there's pretty much three categories of persons in the palace. You have the royal family.
Mm-hmm.
You have members of the household, and you have members of staff. As the equerry, you were deemed to be member of the household.
Okay.
So I lived there. I had what is called a footman. And Gary, this guy does everything for you. In the mornings, he came and he held I put on my shirt, put on my tie, and he would fix my tie.
Wow.
And then he would hold my jacket, and all I had to do was
put your arms on.
And then he'd fix me. He'd press my shirt, he'd clean my shoes, he'll ask of me what I want for breakfast, and he carries it there in my room.
Wow.
But that was not good enough. I had to go out and get my fish and chips. So between myself and the other officer from New Zealand, we'd use the back entrance, and we'll slip out and go and have our fish and chips and come back in. But it is an absolutely majestic experience.
Mm-hmm.
I witnessed when Rudy Giuliani came to be knighted.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that. I had to watch that. If perchance somebody would have been knighted on our visit, I would have to do it. And it is such a slick and choreographed
operation.
Operation. Gary, when you go into like the throne room, That's where Her Majesty was crowned. There was just a feeling of majesty there.
History.
You know, it was scarlet red. It's amazing to see. When you look on these guys preparing like for a royal dinner, they go on top of the table and they dress every single piece of utensil and crockery to ensure that it is in line and all of that. The detail, the attention to detail. But you know what was also impactful? How excellent a conversationalist Her Majesty is.
Oh, okay.
She is a fantastic memory. So, you know, so there it is. You spend the 12 days and then you're coming to Jamaica.
Oh, okay.
I was the fourth man out of that charter. I can't explain sufficiently the feeling of pride. I talk about it now and I
have goosebumps.
I rehearsed that coming out of the plane because all the other guys, when I put on my uniform in that plane about an hour out from Jamaica, because you know, once you get on the plane, you change off to something comfortable.
Yeah.
And I waited until everybody else got dressed. And when I put on my uniform and they saw it for the first time, it was like a light in the darkened world. When I came out of the landing of that plane behind Her Majesty and the Duke of Edinburgh, it was perhaps the highest point of my
I feel like.
So that was a high point. The next highest point, or of equal importance, was the visit of the President of the United States, Barack Obama.
Obama, okay.
Right. I did the planning for the ceremonial aspect of that visit. And there is something about that man, the aura of that man resonates positivity. I mean, both positivity and humility. Combined. And I mean, I remember the first time he shook my hand, he came out and he said, "Colonel Pryce, I have a gift for you. I'm going to give you a coin." And he came and he shook my hand. And when he shook my hand, you know, the web of the finger right up palmed me the coin. It was like an enabling experience that you had. It's like virtue from the man.
Okay.
From you. I'm telling you. And I've spoken to other people who would have met him and similar kind of sentiment.
Yeah, he seems to affect people that way.
He has a positive effect on persons, and not just not effect, but affect.
All right.
So I mean, that was one of the two very high points.
High points. But did you think that when you joined, did you think that you would have risen so far, so fast?
Not so fast, but I didn't join to be at the bottom of the pile.
You didn't join to be at the bottom,
No,
okay?
I've always, you know, sometimes books you read, I read Stephen Covey, and one of the things he said, begin with the end in mind. So you must project yourself and see where it is that you're going to go.
You want to reach.
And that has been. So I worked for where I got to.
Okay.
And I thank God for it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, we're here talking with Colonel Daniel Pryce of the Jamaica Defense Force, and he is also a St. Mary High alum. Very interesting conversation so far. Now, Colonel Pryce, I can't let you go without sticking with a couple of questions. Now, Jamaica, as we know it, has a lot of crime. What do you, as Colonel, somebody in the military who works closely with the police force, what do you attribute this rise in crime to? Why do you think we have such problems? Don't just talk as a military man. I want you talking,
Right.
as
It's
a yard man.
difficult not to. It's difficult not to. But let me set the record that needs to be. I am now retired. I have spent 37 years, 2 months, and 30 days.
My gosh, down to the detail.
Right? So I'm retired, and I have been at the pointed end of the spear. Fight against crime and violence in Jamaica is been. It's a complicated problem, and I'm going to make it simple by saying crime is a social problem.
Social, okay.
So if you have a social problem, there must be an inclusion of a social component to deal with the problem.
To deal with it, okay.
I am going to say this. There are certain institutions in society that's clothed with the responsibility of regulating behavior in society.
Okay.
First one is parents, the family.
The family.
Then you can say the community. And by community, you're talking about community groupings, community-based organization, youth clubs, service clubs, uniform youth groups.
Okay.
That help to curb behavior. You have teachers. You have the police. You have the judiciary, and you have the correctional facility. Those 7 institutions have the responsibility to regulate behavior. If you look at Jamaica now, every single one of those institutions are having some amount of challenge.
Okay.
And the cumulative effect is that you have a society that is lacking in discipline and very poor attitude. There are also several cases of a lack of opportunities for persons.
Sure. Okay.
You have a number of persons having kids for which they have not been prepared. So that now feeds into the poor parenting.
True.
You have corruption at all levels. And without corruption, you can't have crime thriving. Corruption is the ecosystem for crime.
For crime.
So I've described for you the problem as I see it. The police alone can't fix it.
Can't fix it.
The military alone can't
fix it. What do you think about this thing what do you think about this culture we have where we talk about informers?
The informer for dead culture.
Yeah.
That is one of the problems. Because criminals over time, and it's not a lot of criminals in Jamaica compared to the majority of persons, but they have succeeded in driving fear in persons,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
right? We also have problems of enforcement of laws. And right now, one of the problems with our judiciary or our legal and court system is that it has been overwhelmed with the number of
Of
cases
cases.
that there are.
Do you think, you see, Daniel, do you think that the days of community policing will ever come back? You remember when your community had a cop who you knew, who knew you, who you respected. Do you think those days will ever come back?
It can, but one of the problems with our enforcement agencies is that they have to recruit from the same society
True. That is
that
so true.
have, and these young persons have particular mindset. I tell you something, I have seen where something is for free and people go and pay for it. It is free.
Oh my
I
God.
have seen situation where there is free entry into
Yep.
an event and people jump the
People
fence.
jump.
Right?
I've seen that at stadium several
We have a
times.
problem with values and attitude in Jamaica. So what is the response? It has to be multifaceted. You have to fix the social problem. You have to create the opportunities, right? And a lot of persons think that when we're doing social type intervention, the only thing they can think about is sports.
Sports.
Sports is just one
One of the
tool in
one
the toolbox.
one spoke in the wheel.
Right? I give you two things. When a person learns an instrument, to play an instrument, it requires time and discipline.
Diligence.
And if he is to master that, he's going to have to spend time. If he's spending time on the instrument, it's less time to be influenced negatively. The same thing goes for things like art. These things can be used. Persons developing skills. We have heart that needs to widen a bit in some of the persons. And there are some interesting initiatives. The Prime Minister now has one called LEGS.
Okay.
LEGS. It is learning, earning, giving, and saving.
Okay.
Right? And part of the LEGS program, the Jamaica Defence Force has copped into it or tapped into it. And they do what is called the Jamaican National Service Corps, where young men come in and women and they train for a period of a year. They get an opportunity to see whether or not they like the military.
Okay, good.
Right? And we also get an opportunity to inculcate some amount of values in him. So there has to be hard policing. There has to be community policing. You must incorporate technology as much as possible.
As much as possible. Okay.
Against crime. People need to stand up against what is happening in their community. Because I can tell you, a lot of time in the inner city, nothing happens there that most people
don't know about. What do you think about punishment? What do you think about punishment? Should punishment be, should you meet violence with violence, or do we need a softer approach? And when a prisoner comes in, instead of sending him back or worse than he came in, do we need to give him some training, some way he can be useful when he gets back into society? How do you look at it?
You know, Gary, I used to visit the prisons. I used to give my Sunday evenings to prisoners. So I'd go into South Camp Road Rehabilitation sent. I worked on programs to help them to rehabilitate. Some will always fall through the cracks,
Yep.
right? But I've had some good experiences with these guys. It takes tremendous amount of sacrifice, cash, investment of time to cause what you're saying to happen. But I can tell you that there are persons who you will never get through to because we have psychopaths
True.
that are prisoners. I have happened upon a couple of them myself. Um, I've had some interesting encounters with some of them. If time would not permit me to go through that, but the issue is some persons are going to fall.
Yep.
But I do believe that persons must be called upon to answer for what they do.
To answer for what they did. Okay.
But there, I believe society has a responsibility to help them to change because there are persons who can change. Every man can change.
Everyone. Okay.
Every man can change. There are some people, as I said, the psychopaths,
Yeah.
this is beyond them. It's beyond them to cause a change. But those, there are persons who have just lost their way. And when you talk to persons in gangs, though, you know, and I have, once you get into a gang, it's difficult to come out, you know.
Difficult. Yep.
Because they watch you, they monitor you. And if at any point in time they think that you're getting soft, they will turn off your light because you now become a liability.
You're a liability to them, right?
So persons, I've spoken to guys, said, boss, I want to come out, but Jamaica is so small. Where can I
But
go?
where can you go? That's true. That is true.
So we have problems. It's not insurmountable. I'm always the proponent of there is no problem that can withstand the onslaught of sustained thinking. No problem that can withstand the onslaught of sustained thinking.
Okay.
And we can find the solution.
You can find a solution. One aspect that you didn't touch on. When it comes to politics, what role do you think the politician plays in this whole thing? What role do you think the politician plays in this?
Majority of our politicians, as far as I know, they have good intentions for the country. There might be some who, by virtue of where they are, have to strike a balance between the darker side. There's always a choice that politicians must make or can make, ought to make. Unfortunately, some of them don't. And that sometimes become a problem in the fight against crime.
Crime, okay.
The moment you ruffle your integrity is the moment you will lose your influence.
Okay, that's what you mean. I see what you mean.
So it's hard to tell a politician to remove politics from
The equation.
certain things. Because politics is what they do. It is for the professionals to act professionally and don't get involved with politics. Politicians must be politicians. Professionals must be professionals.
Do you think if we didn't have this collusion of politicians, we would have these garrison towns, these garrison districts?
I don't think it's the politicians that have done that. It is corruption.
Corruption.
I believe that would have spawned this kind of. As simple as you take it, influence of a don in any area comes from guns and money. Once you have those two, you can wield some amount of clout, control over an area. You cannot, we don't make guns here.
Right.
They have to come from somewhere.
Somewhere else.
Every port of entry has a government officer charged with the responsibility of taking control of that.
All the importations, right?
Good. The only way it can come there is if there is corruption.
Corruption.
Or there is the lack of diligence in your job.
You might take a call.
No, I can't take it.
All right. Talking about calls, I am gonna put a phone number up and see if our friend from Canada, you're a good friend, if you would, I don't know if you would mind taking a call or two.
I don't mind.
You don't mind? Let's see if he'll call in. Guys, I have a number on the screen there. Let's hope it works. You can call in 407-479-8517. Let's see if you want to give a shout out to Colonel Pryce or ask him a question. Bear in mind, the questions cannot be too deep into security or military operations. But if you went to school with Colonel Pryce, you want to say hello? Come on, this is your chance. This is your chance. This is your chance. This is your chance. You want to say hello to Colonel Pryce? Come on, man. Let's give a call right here. Anybody? Yeah, so Daniel, in retirement, how are you managing, man?
No, you can't. I mean, I've retired from the military. You can't stay retired very long. When you see, Gary, coming to the military, it has exposed you to service at a very high level and a sacrificial level. Because one of the greatest honor is for a man to put his life on the line for his fellow man. The profession of is one such way of doing it. And this is why I have so much respect for persons in the military, the police force, fire service, and frontline operations like those nurses, doctors, where you put your life on the line. But with the police and the soldier, I tell you something, this is a daily occurrence. And this is the awesome weight of responsibility that comes on like a military officer or an NCO. When you take Mass Storm's son from Stratbogie to Westmoreland or Grey Street, Dailysville, and Mass Storm sacrifice his son, give his son to you and say, train him, make a man out of him. When you have that responsibility to take him out and expose him to danger, you better ensure that he is trained properly, that he is equipped properly, and that he knows exactly how to conduct himself. When he's out there. So it's a very weighty responsibility.
Wow. Wait, how did your family feel when you had to go out day after day and face danger? How does it impact the family?
You see, you don't tell them.
What you mean you don't tell them?
You don't tell them. So when you leave the military, you really don't take the military home with you.
With you, okay.
And discuss. Yes, if you have to go, yes, you'll tell them.
Uh-huh.
And again, I lift my cap to women or men who are married to members of the
force.
military or the police force, because it takes an unusual human being to take on a responsibility
like that. Mm-hmm. Wait, as a
retired,
retired,
somebody wants to talk to me.
Yeah, I don't know what somebody. I see I have 4 missed calls. I don't know what the problem is. Why I'm missing these calls, guys? If anybody wants to say hello to Colonel Pryce, 407-479-8517. Try again, guys. I see where some calls have gone missing. I don't know what the problem is. Hold on there. Hold on. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Roc da Mic, sir. Mike. Can I help you?
Yes, this is Orly Powell.
Are you hearing that, Mr. Pryce?
No, it's very low.
He said you're very low.
I'm very low?
Yeah.
You can hear me now?
You're not hearing him, Mr. Pryce?
No, I'm not.
Oh my God.
You may have to do a translation for me. You're saying that it's Orly Powell.
It's Orly Powell.
Robin Powell. From Port Maria, the Powell dry foot boy.
Yeah, it's Powell dry foot boy.
No.
Oh, God. Oh, man, it's good to see him. And it was a pleasure working with him in the JDF.
Yes, Daniel, he says it was a pleasure working with you in the JDF, man. He says it was a pleasure.
Yeah, he was my mentor.
Oh, wow. Daniel, he says you were his mentor.
The man is making
and
me
also my commanding officer.
Oh, he's making you seem old. Oh, well, listen, man. Orly, you were in the military also, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Lieutenant Colonel.
Okay. Yes, also.
Okay,
right,
wow.
Right.
Wait, but Orly, St. Mary has produced a lot of officers, right?
Yes, a number of them. Colonel Marshall, myself, Colonel Pryce, Ricky Tyndale, Dave Anderson, Bimba Rodriguez. There's a whole lot of us, man. A whole lot of us.
Anyway, man, listen, man. Orly, thanks for calling in. Man. I'm sorry he can't really hear you. Yeah?
I know. Don't tell him hi for me.
All right.
All the best.
Good. Okay. Colonel Pryce, Orly says all the best to you, sir, in your retirement.
All the best to you. Tell him to stay COVID-free.
And Orly says stay COVID-free.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Have
okay.
a good night.
Okay, buddy.
Okay.
Wait, Colonel Pryce, you guys have lockdowns here right now, right?
Yeah, man. I've been locked down since 12 o'clock.
How is the public taking that? What's the public's response in general?
Generally, they understand.
They understand.
Understand that there's a need to slow down the spread of this virus. There are some unruly ones who want to much rather be out now partying. But
wait, hold on, another call coming in here. Hold on, let's see. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Waller. Good evening.
Good evening. I don't know why Colonel Pryce can't hear the call. I don't know what's wrong here. Yes, who is this calling, man?
It is Hillary Williams, Maxine from Baileysville.
Yes.
I didn't go to Mary's Eye, but
oh, pity, such a pity.
Daniel is my little brother.
All right, hold on. Daniel, on the phone here, we have a young lady who lives right at the mouth of Grace Street. Maxine Williams, Hillary Williams.
Oh,
yes.
Oh my God. Hillary? Oh my God.
Oh, I don't know what. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's wrong here. Why you're not hearing? Oh, geez. Let me see if I can remedy this. Oh my Lord. I don't know why we're not hearing this thing here.
I hope he. Well, don't understand how he's not hearing.
He's not. He's not hearing
Is it
at
a Zoom
all.
call?
Oh
Is it
my
a Zoom
God!
call?
I may have to translate for you.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you guys grew up together as kids, right?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
we did. His house was right behind mine.
Right, I remember. Right. So, Daniel, that's Hillary wishing you all the best, man. That's Hillary wishing you
Yes.
all.
Well, I wish
Retirement.
I could see. I've not seen her in over
Retirement,
30
Daniel.
years.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know why you're not hearing at all. I can't figure out what's going on.
Garfield,
Yes, sir.
we used to just cut through the bush and get down to their house.
Right, there you're just right behind you.
Right. And that is where
Yeah,
you know,
well,
the
tell him I
swings.
wish him all the best and I love him.
they had
And we'll see
their
him
father
catch
did
up one day.
a swing that was made out of the cable,
Mm-hmm.
right? That you see a high tension wire. And we used to do some pumping in that
But we
swing.
bless Mr. Wallace.
yeah.
He was talking to you.
Yeah, Hillary, you're talking about it. You guys in that swing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Seems like he has many memories of that swing, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh gosh, I wish we could have gotten through with this call, but oh my gosh, it's just not going through here. I cannot figure out why. I cannot figure out why this thing, the call
could
is
be his
not
phone,
getting through.
It could be his PC.
Let's see here. Daniel, can you hear her again?
I just hear very low. Well, perhaps it's. I wonder if your mic, your headphone, probably
yes.
is creating that. I don't know.
Oh yes, we were like siblings.
Somehow it's not going through to you, and she's not
Yeah.
coming through to you.
Yeah.
Anyway, Hillary, he remembers everything. He has a lot of great memories, man.
Yes. Yes. All right.
All right, Helen,
Thank
take
you.
care. All right.
All right. Yes.
Bless you, Hillary.
Yeah, man, but Daniel, honestly, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you. We're going to have to do this again one day. We're going to have to. Hold on. Somebody is calling. This call coming from Jamaica. Oh, my gosh. Hello?
Hello?
Yep. Who am I speaking with? You're on Roc da Mic?
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Colonel Marshall calling in.
Oh, God. Colonel Marshall Skelly, what one?
Lady Marshall, man.
Something is happening with the call where it's not going through to you, but oh, my God. Mr. Marshall, it's nice having you on, man. Another colonel?
Yes, yes. Yes, it's a pleasure.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. St. Mary High has produced some very distinguished guys in the army, man.
Your Lady Marshall used to be our boss, you know.
Huh? You used to be a boss?
Yeah, I'm just
I
logging
took
in
over from him.
and wishing Daniel all the best.
Yep, you wish you all the best. Good, good. Thank you, man. Daniel, he's wishing you all the best, man.
And the very same to you, Lenny.
Wait, Lenny, when you were at Mirza,
Yes.
were you in the cadet?
Yes, yes, I was in the cadet for about 2 years.
See, I can't remember seeing you in the cadet at all. I can't remember. Oh my God. The only guys I can remember were like Atterbury and those, you know? Atterbury.
Yes,
and
yes,
those
yes.
guys.
I wasn't an upfront cadet, but I was in the cadet.
The big N50.
Yes, sir. Come on, Skelly, I'm sorry the call can't go through to him. I don't know why. I can't figure it out. But glad to hear you, man. And by the way, thanks for the spikes the other day.
Yeah, man,
Thank you very
I
much,
always, this is about 6 years I've done it every year.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, man, keep it up, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate it, man. Anyway, we're going to let you go now because we're at the time when we have to end, you know, we're over.
Yeah, man, and thanks for listening. And we are like the forerunners of the persons in the JDF.
We realize that, man. You guys have done yeoman service in the JD. I never realized there were so many of you guys.
Yes, and we attained some high ranks.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Thank you, Skelly. Thanks for calling in, man. That's Colonel Marshall, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks a lot, buddy. All right. Yeah, man. That was Mr. Marshall, sir. But question to you, Daniel. Do you see any expansion coming in the JDF, making it something bigger?
Yeah, they're currently in an expansion mode. You know. In fact, they have sort of regionalized the force. You have battalions in Montego Bay. Before you had a bumped up company of reserve. Now you have a regular battalion down there.
Down there, okay.
You have a battalion in the center, and you have a couple of battalions in Kingston, and then you have the Coast Guard being split in two.
Okay.
Looking at it to I think it's north and south.
North and south, okay.
Of the island.
Okay.
Now, so it has expanded.
It has expanded. All right. Yeah, man. But Daniel, listen, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot. And let me tell you, man, St. Mary High, Bailey'sville is very proud of you, of what you have done and what you'll continue to do. And we like the work you're doing and the inspiration you have been to a lot of our youngsters. So, man, keep up the good work. Stay safe. Stay with God, as you have always done, you and your family have always done. And please, when you see them again, when you talk to them again, say hello to Mr. and Mrs. Pryce for me, man. Please do. Please do.
Yes.
So, guys, on behalf of Roc da Mic, I want to thank you for tuning in. Thank Colonel Pryce, and we wish him all the best, and we'll see him again one day in the future. So, Danny?
Yes, man.
Okay.
Thank you very much for having me.
Man. Respect. All
Thank
right,
you
buddy.
all guys for listening.
Thank you, man. Thanks a lot, buddy. I've enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it.
All right.
Okay, man. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.